These are the icing conditions here in Stony Creek. We're going to demonstrate today how one can launch a kayak in these conditions.
It's always a reality here on Long Island Sound, and we have different types of ice. And the question was, okay, how do I launch my kayak here in Stony Creek? There are kayaks in Greenland from the Aammasalik area where the ice can form very suddenly, which have very flat bottoms and even have ivory or bone runners, so that they can be scooted over the ice with the paddler sitting inside. This happens to be Manasseh Matthias's kayak. It was John Heath that told me about the idea of building kayaks with runners on the bottom in the northeast side of Greenland, and that they could be pushed over the ice with the paddler sitting inside. And in addition, they have a hook on the paddle on both sides so that they can hook the ice. This is Manasseh Matthias's paddle as well, just to show you what kayakers in Aammasalik do to compensate for the problem of sudden formation of ice when they're out paddling. Next, I had the privilege of seeing a Great South Bay scooter. It is an ice boat that is specifically designed to both go across the ice in Great South Bay, Long Island, both freshwater and saltwater ice, and to float and sail on open water. Here is Matt Dominy's Great South Bay scooter. It was built in Great South Bay in 1910 for his grandfather. They are on the north shore of Bantam Lake. On the bottom of the hull are 6 runners of steel that are attached directly to the wood. The ice boat is steered both by body balance and by the jib. This boat is a completely self-contained unit. There isn't any rudder on it. As you can see, there are just the runners on the bottom. This boat is steered by the jib, and you can see they're preparing to go out. They're just underway now, and also by their balance on the hull. There's 6 runners mounted directly onto the hull. This was just delightful to get to see. I couldn't believe it. The wind on Bantam Lake on the North Shore happened to be very poor on this particular day, but all in all, I still have had the privilege of getting to see this Great South Bay scooter underway, and what a thrill it was to see this boat.
These are the icing conditions here in Stony Creek this morning, and it's February 20th, 1993. We're going to demonstrate today how one can launch a kayak in these conditions. This is a slushy sea ice combination with some fresh water in it, so that it has some density to it. It's not a pea soup condition.
I'm at the town beach in Stony Creek. I'm ready to launch my kayak out through ice that's about a ½ an inch thick, a freshwater overlay over saltwater ice. I have on my deck this garden hoe, and I have a fiberglass paddle. Now I'm getting in, I'm wearing a dry suit, and I'm pushing myself backward with the paddle on the bottom into the ice. My rudder is up, and I'm working very hard to try to get myself anywhere. I'm able to get some progress, but as soon as I get into any depth of water, I can't do anything. So now I am using my garden hoe which happens to be the most effective instrument because it allows me to reach back with a good angle, chop into the ice, and pull on that. It gives me a good angle of bite so that I am able to pull my stern up, over, and through the ice. Now I'm showing you in detail how effective this onion hoe is. Chris Warner is recording this for me, just so you can see how it's possible to launch through half-inch thick freshwater ice with an ordinary kayak. However, the design of the kayak is important as well, that the hull should be a shallow V kayak hull. Now I'm finding myself absolutely helpless once again attempting to use my paddle, and all I'm doing is just getting myself stuck out there, unable to move at all because the paddle just simply bounces off the surface of the hard ice. Now watch how this is going to work. You can see the bow is up, but as I am pulling myself backward with the garden hoe, my stern is up over top of the ice, and I'm gliding along over the ice very easily, just because I can pull myself along with this garden hoe, and the ice does not pull under my hull, rather it pulls alongside it, which is important. And I can change sides to improve things. When I get to open water, I can spin myself around and use my paddle. However, I can also go forward, but it's not nearly as efficient. When I attempt to go forward, pulling myself along with the garden hoe, what happens is I pull ice up under the bow, and I really can't make progress the same way I can because I haven't got the leverage that I have when I'm reversed. Once again, just to show you how this garden hoe technique works, I am able to get myself out and pull the ice past my hull, the loose pieces, away from the hull, very conveniently with this garden hoe. You can never do this with a paddle. Now to show you what happens when I launch facing forward using my paddle, and I put this into slow motion just so you can see how the bow rises up on a chunk of ice, and I can't get anywhere with the paddle, and the paddle actually pulls the ice under the boat, which makes me quite helpless. Even while going forward, switching over to using the garden hoe, as you can see here, doesn't work at all, because all that happens is you wind up pulling the ice under your hull. And I discovered this while I was experimenting with the garden hoe, when I noticed that I could get back to the beach much quicker because I was going backward using the garden hoe than going forward. So then what I did was I switched the boat around and pulled myself out backward, and it worked very well, so that I was able to do my errands out on Rogers Island, where I was the caretaker. To get out of my boat or to get in, I put the paddle behind me, I get myself up on the stern deck balancing on the paddle, and put my leg over the side, and then bring my other leg over the side so that I don't risk displacing or subluxing my artificial hip. Here are some winter paddling views of Stony Creek. Freshwater and I went out in my Klepper 2-man. And this is what it looks like in the wintertime among the Thimble Islands.
Now we're coming into, this is called Stony Creek, is this? Or what is this?
We have a
That's
faux
a
falcon.
Fall.
We have a, as you can see, it's low water. And I believe there's some small shorebirds on the mudflats up here.
Oh, really?
Let's take a look.
We are coming into Stony Creek Harbor, and we just caught the moon rising, and the sun has just set. It's a full moon evening, and Chris is recording the harbor, what it looks like at this moment in March 1993. We were very lucky to happen to have this moment. The wonderful thing about being in a kayak is that you can be out on the water any time of the year, just about, and you can record things such as the moon, and you can just sit there and watch whatever is interesting.